My wife let a stranger stay in our house for 3 weeks while I was overseas, and I just found out who he was. I was overseas for work, 6 weeks in Germany, consulting project, long hours, time zone hell. I called my wife every single night, 11 p.m. my time, 5 p.m. hers, same routine. How's Lily? How was your day? I miss you. Every call ended with, everything's fine at home, every call. For 42 days straight, I flew back on a Thursday night, walked through the door, dropped my bags, hugged my wife, kissed my sleeping daughter, took a shower, went to bed. Everything felt normal for about 6 hours. Friday morning, I woke up early, jet lag, made coffee, walked through the house like I always do after a long trip, reacquainting myself with the corners. That's when I noticed it. The guest room smelled like cologne, not my cologne, not my wife's perfume, men's cologne, sandalwood and something expensive. The guest room hasn't been used in 7 months. My in-laws were the last people who stayed there. My father-in-law uses Old Spice. This was not Old Spice. This was a cologne a 30-something man wears when he's trying to impress someone. I opened the bathroom next to the guest room. There was a toothbrush in the holder. Blue, not ours. A razor I didn't recognize. A travel-size shampoo I'd never bought. I walked into the kitchen where my wife was pouring coffee. I said, "Did someone stay here while I was gone?" She didn't flinch. She said, "Yeah, a friend needed a place to crash for a few weeks." I meant to tell you. Meant to tell me. Past tense. She meant to tell me. But she hadn't. For 6 weeks. Over 42 phone calls. She had 42 chances to mention a grown man was living in our house with our toddler. She took 0 of them. What friend? His name is Eli. I've known my wife for 9 years. I know every friend she has. I know every friend she's ever had that's still in her life. I have never once heard the name Eli. I don't know an Eli. Who is Eli? She took a long breath, the kind of breath that means she's about to say something she was hoping to never say out loud. He's an ex-boyfriend from college. The kitchen got very quiet. My coffee was still steaming. My daughter was watching cartoons in the living room. Somewhere in the world, a bird was probably singing. I heard none of it. I only heard ex-boyfriend on a loop in my head like the worst song ever written. "You let your ex-boyfriend live in our house with our daughter for 3 weeks while I was overseas and you didn't tell me?" She said, "Nothing happened. I swear on everything. He was homeless. He was sleeping in his car. He reached out because I was the only person he trusted. I couldn't leave him on the street. He stayed in the guest room. He was never alone with Lily. I set rules. I was being a good person. A good person." The phrase rich people use when they're explaining a decision they knew was going to be a problem. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I knew you'd react exactly like this. And he needed somewhere safe, and I didn't want to fight while you were 4,000 miles away. I was going to tell you when you got home. I just hadn't figured out how yet." 42 days, 42 phone calls, not one mention. I walked out of the kitchen, went to my office, pulled up the Ring camera footage. We have a camera on the front door. It stores 30 days of video. I scrolled back to the earliest footage available. There he was, Eli, carrying a duffel bag, mid-30s, tall, clean-shaven. My wife opened the door, hugged him. The hug was long, maybe 4 seconds, maybe 5. She pulled back. He smiled. She smiled. No kiss, no touching that shouldn't have happened. Just a hug between two people who once mattered to each other. I watched more clips. Eli taking out the trash. Eli carrying groceries in. Eli playing with my daughter in the front yard. My daughter laughing with him. I walked into the living room, sat next to Lily. I said, "Sweetheart, who was staying in our guest room?" She said, "Mommy's friend Eli. He made me pancakes with chocolate chips. He said I'm his favorite little pancake. Pancakes, chocolate chips, favorite little pancake." A man I've never met made my daughter pancakes in my kitchen on a Saturday morning while I was in another country. Every word out of her 2-year-old mouth was another small knife in a place I didn't know could be stabbed. I told my wife I needed to talk to Eli directly. She called him, put him on speaker. He picked up on the first ring. "Hello? This is her husband." Long pause. Then he said, "I've been waiting for this call. I owe you an explanation." Long pause. Then he said, "I've been waiting for this call. I owe you an explanation." He told me everything. How he lost his job. How his girlfriend threw him out. How he'd been sleeping in his Honda Civic in a Walmart parking lot for 11 days. How he reached out to my wife because she was the only person from his past who'd ever been truly kind to him. How she told him he could stay but only in the guest room. How she told him he had to leave before I came home. How he agreed. How nothing happened. He said, "I know what this looks like. I would have thought the same thing. But your wife was the only person I could trust to help me without making it about her. She's a good person. I've been sober for 2 weeks because of those 3 weeks in your guest room. I have a job now. I'm renting a room from a coworker. I will never contact her again." I believed him, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Here's what kept me up that night. It wasn't the ex-boyfriend. It wasn't the hug. It wasn't the pancakes. It was the 42 phone calls where my wife told me everything was fine. Because the moment you decide not to tell your partner something, you've decided the truth isn't theirs to know. And marriage stops working when one person gets to decide that. We're in therapy now. Not for an affair. For a lie of omission. Because hiding something innocent for